Let's get into it with Brian Robb, and we'll say this, the Celtics were caught up in the Tiger tornado today, so not a ton of people were paying attention to the bulk of this game. And I think it also falls, Brian, to the fact that I don't think anyone, including myself, has any worry or concern that the team's going to lose this series to the Pacers, but they played horribly today.
No, I mean, this was their worst offensive game of the year, Tom. They shot 36% from the field, 20 turnovers. They scored the fewest points in a game all season, and they won by 10 points. So, again, they're pretty great on the defensive end. You know, they really, that 8-point third quarter, the Pacers just couldn't score, but that's kind of what they are right now. They lost Victor Oladipo. They've been 10-15 since the All-Star break. They're pretty much the worst playoff team, I'd say, in either conference right now. And so the Celtics got, they caught a break that they got them on a bad shooting night, and they were shooting even worse than the Celtics were.
So what's it going to take? What moment are we looking for with this team in the postseason that's either the light switch that flips on or is the wake-up call that smacks them in the face and says, listen, guys, you got to turn it up or this season's going to end in a heartbeat?
Yeah, so I mean, I think today was an encouraging sign on that front because they were 0-9 this year when they had scored 100 points or less. So this was a way, okay, we can win with defense. And again, it wasn't against a great team. Again, you're going to doing it against the Bucks or against the Raptors is going to be much tougher. But this is how they're going to have to win in the postseason on nights when Kyrie Irving isn't going for 30 points and Al Horford doesn't have it going from three-point range. So this is a baby step, I'd say, in that direction. They've kind of tumbled in the face of adversity in past games this year in the regular season. We've seen it obviously all year long, but now this was a game where they went down in the first half, things looked bad, and they figured it out.
It's easy to give Marcus Morris credit on a night where he scores 20 points and he's in the spotlight, but I was impressed that he seems to be just an aware guy, and he looks around the situation and says, listen, our heartbeat isn't here. The other Marcus isn't on the court. Someone needs to do that. We saw that in part from him last year in the postseason, but I liked seeing that from him because I think that they are going to miss that with Smart over the course of potentially the next two series.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, Smart on the defensive end, that's where you think about him most, but on offense too. He's in the pick and roll, just setting guys up. That's an important weapon to lose. And with no one else having anything going in the first half today, Marcus Morris kind of stood up and said, okay, I got to kind of take command here. 15 points in the first half. I mean, they were down by 7 at halftime. They would have been down by 17 without him, I feel like. And so that kind of kept them, within striking distance, and then again allowed for them to kind of take command in the third and fourth quarter.
Because I honestly just can't get too invested in this series quite yet. I don't want to beat it to death. I want to ask you some other questions about the NBA. There seems to be a cloud over the league because, LeBron's not playing in the postseason, so people are already talking about that. Anthony Davis, people are talking about that. What's your take on what we're about to see, not only on the court over the course of the next 2 months, but as these teams start getting eliminated and we go from 16 to 8 to 4 to 2, how do you see the drama evolving here over the course of the next 2 months?
Oh, I think it's some of one of the biggest high-stakes postseason we're going to see in our lifetimes, I feel like. Just think about all the dominoes in play here. Obviously, LeBron is staying put, but you think about the Eastern Conference. The Sixers went all in of all those trades. You have the future of Kyrie Irving here and how much the Celtics go there, impacting his future. Kawhi Leonard in Toronto, same situation there, and then you have the Kevin Durant factor in Golden State.
Oh, just
again,
that. Just all that.
Just all that, and that's again all we're dealing with. That's for the teams that's probably expected to go, towards the end there, and so. All these teams have one last chance to prove to these guys, okay, if you go really deep here, you build a pretty good case for yourself, but someone's going to have to go out early, especially in the East, like one out of the Sixers, Raptors, or Celtics. One of those teams is not going to be in the conference finals, and they're going to have a pretty tough case to bring to their free agents to say, hey, we're going to be, the team to beat going forward.
And we've seen it before. This is just my final thought. I'll give you a couple seconds to wrap up. But, when you see how LeBron checked out that first go-round in Cleveland, you've seen a superstar do that. So I'm, just for the record, keeping my eye out for the guy who might do that, a Jimmy Butler who might do that in Philadelphia. Or, not to spotlight one guy, but that's the one that just kind of popped out to me. Will we see that in your estimation, do you think, from somebody? It's something to watch, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, based on Butler's track record, I'd say he's that's the number one target. I mean, Leonard, obviously, he's got a weird situation in San Antonio and Toronto. He's been playing on and off all year. So if things go bad there, it will be interesting to see what kind of effort you get from those guys with the seasons on the line. But, I mean, that's going to be a lot to watch. And again, you look at all the future of these teams and the Anthony Davis factor in New Orleans, one of these teams might get into that mix too if they decide, hey, they want to blow their team up too. So it's the draw was already fun in the NBA playoffs, but I think this year it kind of rises to another level. All
right, well, thanks for coming in. Don't forget, you can always follow Brian Robb, the Boston Sports Journal, for all your Celtics stuff. And if you want to know about the draft too, he's got some great great articles on Boston Sports Journal about how the last couple of regular season games affected the Celtics draft positioning, which I find very intriguing as well. So thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.